everyone, it's Tim Bush with Next Home Experience here in the Bush Group out of Bangor, Maine, and I'm so excited to be joined with one of my really great friends from Next Home Real Estate Rockstars out in Santa Clarita, California, Carolan McDermott. Carolan, thank you so much for joining us today, and we are so excited to have you on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think this is going to be good. We've got lots of cool things to share. So I'm super pumped.
And I keep saying podcast. I guess this is a vodcast in 2023. There's so many different terms for what we're doing. The
What does
short
that
end of
even
it,
mean?
there's video with audio when we're putting it out there. So
All right,
I'm
we're
not, I'm
doing
not
this.
sure what the correct term to call it is, but here's our podcast for you guys. So we are doing the rental realities. We want to bring you the unfiltered truths about everything going on in the short-term rental world. So not just the good, but the bad and the ugly, and kind of what inspires us throughout the entire thing. And Carol Ann actually has a really cool project going on right now. She's living the short-term rental life as she's adjusting and fixing up hers. So, Caroline, thanks so much. I think the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about is what inspired you to get into short-term rentals? Like, obviously, it's a really unique niche part of the market. Like, what made you as a real estate agent want to jump full bore into that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's actually funny how I got connected to doing an Airbnb, but just short-term rentals in general. It's just me, so I was looking for a place ideally where I could have like a little house on the same property, but then rent out, the main house. And so I was thinking, whatever, I'll probably just do like a 12-month lease. And then one day, my property manager, who manages like everyone's kind of like rentals here in town, he's like, you should do an Airbnb. And I was like, wait a second. Like, I haven't even thought of this. And we kind of just bounced ideas off of each other. And in that moment, I kind of just decided, like, that sounded like a great idea. And I'm going to do it. Like, I'm all into this. Like, run some numbers for me. And if it looks good, like, I'm all in. So that's literally how it happened. I just had my property manager, kind of spark the idea. And then it took me about all of a half of a second to decide that I was going to do it.
I love that you just said that because so Carolyn and I have not like scripted this out, so I have no idea what her answers are going to be for anything we're talking about today. But in my opinion, I think that is like the most vital, important part of running a short-term rental is making sure it's a long-term rental viability option. So I love that you actually started this as a long-term possibility and then changed it over to that. And that's kind of what I'm doing with a few of mine as well. So I actually have a lakefront property up in Lincoln, Maine, and then we have a mountain house up at Sugarloaf Mountain. It's in Reddington East subdivision off of that, and then we're actually acquiring another lakefront property right now that we're going to short-term rent. But I'm kind of doing the same transition as you are right now. I'm going to move into some of the long-term rents, making them some short-term, maybe some traveling nurses, the
Mhm.
doctors. That's a huge part of the market right now. And so I think that's really exciting. But I think one of the biggest things for you is you didn't just jump into like an already running an existing property. You're going through the complete construction phase right now. So what has that been like? Like talk to us about that and the cost of that.
Oh man. Yeah. Originally, I was like, I just want to paint it and maybe put new carpet in. And everything just spirals from there. Like, I was like, well, maybe I'll change the handles on the kitchen, make them black. It'll be cute. And then I'm like, oh,
Right.
but then a light would look really adorable, like above the kitchen sink. So it just went into this big spiral. And I did. I set a goal for myself. I said, I want to spend less than 20 grand on furnishing and remodeling. And I've overspent, but I'm happy to say that, like, from day one to today, I could tell you the exact dollar amount. I've kept track of every single expenditure just so I knew, like, if it's going to hurt, if I'm going to spend 30 grand or 40 grand, like, I just want to know along the way. I just didn't want to be surprised. But yeah, I mean, we did a lot. We added a lot of electrical, a lot more lighting. Um, one of the bedrooms actually can't fit a bed with two nightstands next to it unless we had no door. So we had to figure that out, which was really interesting because obviously you have to have a door. So thank God somebody
Right.
invented like the barn door idea, because that is the only way you can have a door in that room. So it actually turned out super adorable, but I was worried about that. But yeah, it's been a lot more than I expected price wise. But I did go the Facebook Marketplace route, and I only had to buy three brand new pieces of furniture besides the mattresses. So I only had to buy a bed frame, a nightstand, or a side table, and then like a coffee table. So I got pretty lucky with finding really good deals because otherwise I would have spent 3 or 4 times as much if I didn't find used furniture. So that was definitely like my trick to making this way cheaper than it could have been. Or yeah, cheaper than it could have been.
Right. What's the size of your short-term rental? Like how big is it? What's the bedroom, bathroom, and square foot count?
Yeah, so it's a 3 bed, 2 bath, and it's like a little over 1,200 square feet, but it has a big yard for Santa Clarita. This has like a 6,000, 7,000 square foot lot. So typically you're only looking at like 4,500 square feet for actual usable backyard space. So that's what's really unique about this one. So yeah, it's cute.
Really cool though. No, I mean that's a great size for an Airbnb and any short-term rental. I love going through like the numbers on. I use AirDNA for a lot to run different valuations around the country. I only pay for the
Hmm.
state of Maine. Nationwide, like I love seeing the trends of what's actually renting more than the other ones. And it's funny, all the areas in Maine around us are all 2 to 3 bedrooms are the majority of the rentals, and they're doing better, I would say, than some of the 4 to 5 bedroom ones. So that's kind of like a sweet spot rental area that I think a lot of people, when they're traveling, that's they don't want too many bedrooms if it's just them or a spouse or them or a significant other. So that's a pretty good size, I'd say, to start with your first one.
Yeah, I mean, I even think about me and my friends. It's so hard to get people to commit. So if I have
Mhm.
myself and maybe two other couples, like, okay, I can do that. I just got to get two couples to
Right.
commit and then we've got a house filled. But then when you have like a 4 or 5 bedroom home, yeah, it might have like the bigger backyard or whatever. But at least for me, I'm like, I don't know. That's a lot of people that I have to like make sure are going to commit and actually like come and stay with us. So I get it because I probably rent an Airbnb in like Havasu just around town, like uh I don't know, probably 5 or 6 times a year. So I get it. Like we're doing that often. Like I understand that portion of it. So I agree with you. I think the 3 bed, 2 bath is really the sweet spot. And it's funny that you actually looked that up and kind of supported that. So I like that.
No, I love that. No, it's funny. Like obviously the market isn't like in love with short-term rentals right now. There's so much to it that, neighborhoods are trying to, combat people doing them. Like
Hmm.
people that, you get families living next to short-term rentals and all of a sudden you get a party one weekend, you've got, a nice group renting and they don't want to be subjected to different things throughout the neighborhood. Like I get it. Like I've got a family, like, and I've had some of my rentals where people are like, hey, it's just too loud over there tonight. Can you get them to quiet down? But I think that's one of the biggest things when you're going through these short-term rentals is obviously you're not going to be able to know every situation that's going to be in there, and there's different things that are going to happen. So, you know, I think with the 2 to 3 bedroom, you're going to get less people and less ability to probably have some of those larger events that could potentially cause issues in the neighborhood. And that's kind of what I've found on ours. And obviously, we've never had any terrible issues, but I get it. Noise complaints at 10 o'clock at night, you're trying to sleep, are nowhere near fun. And that's just those are the calls you get when you're in this rental game. I guess one of the questions I would love for you right now, as you're going through your rental renovation, and you're not even done with it yet, if you could go back to day one Carolan and talk to her about what to do, like what would you change and do differently?
Oh, if you're gonna do any electrical, like make your decision right away, not after paint is done. Because
Yeah.
I honestly, I should send you a photo of how bad of a patch job this guy did. I'm so bummed about it. But anyways, that's one thing that I learned is you just like have to figure out there's steps that they like do on purpose because it makes sense. And I am very much so I'm not a very detail oriented person and that's my downfall. So yeah, add all of the electrical all at once. And then if you're going to replace anything, take it down so they can paint it and then you can put something brand new up. That would be my like just for like little nitty gritty things, that would be my advice to Carolan.
It's so funny. Like I'm very similar in that. Like I'm just let's run and go. Like let's run, let's go, let's do it.
Hmm.
And I think like taking a week because when I start a project, I want the crews in there working day one. But sometimes like we're
Yeah.
working without direction, and I think I've learned that on. So I'm going through my second and third renovation right now this year that we're doing, and I'm just taking it a lot slower at the beginning to get our layouts like officially what we want, like no changes, like let's just go, let's have a plan. Let's not get delayed because like we did that, like we had the electrician in there on the first one, and then we're like, well, let's change this layout over here and do that. So then we got to wait for this and that. So I think that's an incredible piece of advice right there because I've experienced that as well this year. What are you most excited for? I guess like in nervous. So a lot of people they look at some different things with obviously the cash flow. They love the cash flow that a short term rental can be. What are the things that you're nervous about but also excited about at the same time?
Most nervous is my neighbors because I don't want them to hate me. Like I
Right.
want I just want everyone to have a good time. I want whoever stays here to have a good time. But I am a
Mhm.
little bit concerned about noise. And it's going to be really interesting because where I'm personally living is literally in the backyard. So if they're partying in the backyard, like I'm going to know about it, I'm going to hear about it. So that'll be very interesting. But thank goodness, like I have my parents in town. So if it really gets that bad, I can head out, whatever. But most excited about, I mean, just the potential. If I know that I can make X amount of dollars today by only renting it out 20 days out of the month, what's that going to be in 5 years from now? And the fact that my mortgage will never go up, it will only ever go down. I think I locked in like a 6.875, which people think is crazy high. And I know that seems intimidating, but it was really cool to run the numbers when interest rates go down to 4.5%, or if I can buy down points to 4.5%, my mortgage is going to change by more than $1,000. So there's another thousand that I will be able to cash
That's really
flow.
huge.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So I'm just excited for the potential of what it can do for me in the future, especially since my plan is not to live on the property for more than 2 years. I'll actually rent out the little guest house in the back as part of the Airbnb. So that'll even increase cash flow that much more. So it's really just the potential of what it can be and how it's going to grow. I think that's what I'm most excited about, especially when you think long term. Like, I don't plan to ever get rid of this place, whether it's a short
Yep.
term rental or a long term rental. This is my retirement. And so I'm planning my retirement here at 27, and it's going to be with me forever. So once it's paid off, I mean, that's a huge chunk to add to your retirement one day. And that's only 30 years from now. So that's only me at 57. That's pretty cool.
I know, and truthfully, like let's just be real right now. The way you're absolutely crushing real estate in life and getting your rental portfolio started right now, there's zero chance you're retiring at 57. Like you're going to be able to retire probably, and that's the reality though. Like truthfully, you're going to probably create a cash flow that by 37, I I want to put this out there today on the internet for everyone to know. Like I think Carolan is going to be able to retire by 37. I don't think you're
Oh
going to
my
retire because you love like real estate so much that I don't think you'll do it, but I think you'll have the ability to, and that's the cool financial freedom. And I'll be honest, like I think everyone sees us as like the sales pitch, and they always think that like when we're talking about real estate, that it's just so happy-go-lucky, and that we're never going to talk about the downs and everything like that. And I had a client who's also he's a real estate agent, and he's one of my clients, and he's a newer real estate agent right now, and from another state. And he was like, "Hey, is buyer's remorse like real? Like, do you feel it?" And I go, "I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I think we bought 7 properties in the last year, and I had buyer's remorse on every single one of them. Like every single one of them, I went through buyer's remorse for like the 2 weeks prior to
Yeah.
closing because it is scary, especially being in a commission-based sales line of work. Like you never know where
Mhm.
like your next paycheck's going to come from. And so I had such peace at mind in my pro formas, like running our numbers and just being able to look at it and go, okay, like I did this very conservatively. Like I'm not crazy with my numbers and my projections and my vacancy rates that like I feel like I could sleep a lot easier at night. Like I won't lie, there's been a lot of sleepless nights in this journey. Like it has not been a de-stress. Like I was just talking to Cam Coda, who's part of the next mortgage team, and we were kind of running some numbers on some things today. And I'm like, is this a good investment that I'm about to buy? I'm like, it literally takes me down to like this, and I feel really insecure about having that in my bank account. But then you look at like what you've already built in equity in a portfolio, and I'm like,
Mhm.
it's kind of reassuring at the same time. And I've heard the term real estate poor. I feel real estate poor right now. I do not.
Oh,
I
I
do
do
not.
too.
Yeah. Like I don't feel like I'm thriving. I'm like, but I look at, if I sold every single property today, if I just unloaded it today, what would I have in my bank account? And I'm like, wow, like that's pretty incredible, like what we built just in 13 months. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm at peace with that. And I think you're going to be right there as well. If you were to give anyone any piece of advice right now, obviously you're 27, you just said, so I'm 34. I turned 35 next in like 26 days, July 26th. So you want to send me a birthday
Okay.
present, July 26th? Anyone. So what would you, I mean, I think it's pretty awesome to start in your 20s. Like we started in our 30s, but what would you give someone in their 20s for advice? Just starting out, like how do they do it? What's the process? How long have you been in real estate? How long did it take you to get here? Like what's realistic?
Yeah, I would say advice for someone who is looking to do a rental or even a short-term rental. Um, I know it's very scary and intimidating, but taking that little bit of a risk is going to have such an incredible benefit. And even in this scenario, I'm taking a risk by trying out Airbnb, but I know I have a backup plan of the long-term rental. So even if you're like, okay, I'm going to save up X amount of dollars and I'm going to buy this rental, just always have a backup plan. Like, are you buying in a market where, you're going to be worried about the price in a year or two? Well, does that really matter to you? Are you going to sell it in a year or two? Like, just kind of really think very forward, just so you know exactly what your plan is. But so for me, for real estate, I've been in real estate for 5 years. And if I was giving advice to somebody who wants to be in real estate, I would just say buckle up and like get ready for the craziest ride for the first couple of years, because you work your freaking butt off for no return for like
I think
about
we
2
can
years.
swear. I think we can swear on this. Like we can go
Yeah.
unfiltered, right? You can say like you work your
Okay.
ass
Well,
off. Like you do. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
sorry for the PC out there. Like I'm like this is not going to be a politically correct podcast. People, I apologize, but like she's right. You work your ass off.
yeah. It's really hard. I cried a lot. Because I took everything so personal. Like every client was my
Right.
friend. And if they didn't want to work with me, I took it so incredibly personal. But if someone came to me and had that same struggle, I would say embrace it. Don't ever let go of the fact that you have an emotional connection with these people, because I think that's what makes me different as an agent today. But it was my biggest struggle as a new agent. And I think it would discourage a lot of people because you get so invested in these people. And that was the hardest part for me, but it's
You
paid off
do.
the
Yeah.
most now.
I think that's what we fear the most in life is rejection and failure. And I think that's where people, when they talk about like investment properties, when they go, they're afraid of the failure. But the
Yeah.
truth of the matter is, you don't really see many people failing in this. I was just running numbers with our broker about 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, because he was a thriving real estate agent during those times. And I love going back and looking at like absorption rates and what was the average sale price and doing some things on that. And just watching that the market has been like, yes, there was a major crash. Like, let's not even like forget about that. Like, it happened. It was real. It affected the entire world. We're not there right now. Like that's not where we currently are. And the absorption rates right now in our area are like 1.4 something. Like it's low. It's really low. And so I get that there's risk there, but I truly think that there's some incredible opportunity, like you said, to gain financial freedom through the
Hmm.
investment portion. Um, I think the thing that I'm most scared of, truthfully, is like obviously the lockdowns like freaked people out. Like that was like we saw the whole world kind of shut down, and so I wasn't running short-term rentals. Like well, that's not true. I actually did have one short-term rental during that lockdown, um, and that was a struggle because the first 3 months we couldn't rent it short-term. Like the state of Maine actually said like no short-term Airbnb rentals. Like that was crazy. Like,
No
and we were like,
way.
yeah, we were like, what are we gonna do? We just bought this place and we were really scared. We were like, how do we run this? And luckily, we had someone reach out and they wanted like a 3 month long term rental, like right off the bat. And we were like, all right, cool. We just got the next 3 months figured out. Like, and it kind of just
Yeah.
took us into a less crazier time where restrictions started lightening up. But I do get that. Like, I think people still have the fear of COVID's not that far behind us. Like it really did just kind of finalize and the world is still getting back to normal. So I understand the fears and everything on that. Um, one of the things I really want to do, I'm going to call him out right now. I know Carolyn and we talked about this. I want to get Liam Pierce on here because one, I just love Liam Pierce. If you're watching this, Liam is one of my heroes. I love chatting with Liam, and I think he's absolutely like incredible when it comes to real estate. But I want to talk to him about like his specific area right now in Myrtle Beach because him and I have chatted about some different things going on with rental restrictions, and I think that's another thing to watch. Like, so we're not just going to share with you guys over the course of these podcasts that, rentals are incredibly easy to do. Like, we want you to be on the lookout for, what's going on in different areas. I know in my area, they actually are trying to vote on passing some legislation to make short-term rentals have to get permitted. So, like, you have to go through a permit process to become a short-term rental with inspections and different things, which I'm not completely against because I do want, like, you're doing some amazing things. Like, you're renovating your property. It's going to be just this beautiful place, and you're going through code. You're doing things the right way. There are a lot of people that aren't going through code, and so I do think that putting these rentals out there, like the consumer does need to have the ability to think that they're staying in a safe place. Like they need to know that this has been kept up to a standard, and so like I'm not a huge government overreach fan, but I agree that there do need to be like some. There needs to be some setups to make sure that the consumer is protected in there. Carolan, real quick, what is like throughout this podcast we're gonna do? So just to give everyone an idea, this was just a quick entry week one. We wanted you guys to get to know us, meet us a little bit, hear a little bit about our journey, and as we go on every other week, we're gonna bring on next homies and different people from across the country to talk about their experiences as well. What are you most looking forward to? Obviously, like you're creating your rental portfolio right now. Do you have the vision to expand out of California, or do you want to stay kind of more local within your Santa Clarita area, or what's your growth like? What are you most excited about?
Honestly, I have family all over. I have five siblings, and in a dream perfect world, I want a property in each one of my siblings' cities so that all of the different families can come and travel because I know it's not just going to be me, it's going to be my parents, my other siblings, their parents. So it sounds kind of wild, but I don't know. Like, I think in a couple of years, we'll be able to check back in and be like, all right, you've got two of your five down. Like, where else do you need to go? But that would be my dream. But I think it's either going to be starting, yes, in other states. It would solely be to get closer to family and to have the ability to go visit family. Otherwise, I think I will continue to keep property in California. I would love to have five properties before I'm 30. That's like definitely a big reach, but I think I can do it.
I don't think it
So
is. I don't think that is a big reach. The way you're setting it up, I don't think that's a reach. I think you're going to be able to get that. Like, I think you're going to get it by the time you're 29. I'm going bold predictions today,
ooh,
but
I turned 28 in September, so I don't know. That's fingers
it
crossed. I
happens
mean, you never
quick.
know.
I'm a firm believer and it's all about the first one. Like if you do the first one right and you've got solid equity, you've got good numbers in it, it will help create it'll spiderweb this whole portfolio into just an
Yeah.
incredible rental scenario. So I think you're going to do it. I'm really excited to see you do it. One thing I didn't tell you, this is kind of cool. So one of my partners, so I do have some partners on some short-term investment stuff. My long-terms are just me. But one of my partners for my short-term investing, him and his wife are actually moving out to you guys this month. So
No way.
they are coming to LA. They're going to be renting for a little while out there.
Mhm.
They're really excited to be out there. But him and I actually have a goal of buying some short-term rentals out there as well. So that's going to be something we're going to be looking for you to help us out on that.
Yeah.
Maybe even partner with us. So that's why I'm saying I think your five could happen quicker because we're looking to grow and we're also looking for boots on the ground. So I think that could be something that can be really beneficial for a lot of people. And that's kind of what we want to do with this is connect people
Yeah.
nationwide. Like it's the ability to do things at such a high level. And when you have trustworthy people that you can partner with in different areas, it makes these investments so much more beneficial.
Absolutely. And you know what's so funny is I've really been like, it's my own fault, but I've definitely been like a loner through my process of like my journey and like expanding. Like I keep very much so to myself. So never once did I even think like, oh yeah, I could buy a property with another investor. Like I could partner up with you and we could get a property in LA. Never once has that ever crossed my mind until you just said that. Like it's so crazy. Like I feel like I'm a person who definitely thinks outside of the box. And then for me to not even think of that. So
I
yeah,
know,
I
right?
mean, that is definitely more achievable when you partner up with people.
Well, I'm a big believer too in, the rising tide lifts all boats. So as long as you have the right partnerships and they're structured properly to protect it, I think the one thing people do improperly when they start some of these journeys is they're afraid to do the right legal things and put things on paper to make protections in place because it's awkward conversations at first, like when you're dealing with lawyers and you're trying to structure different LLCs and different accounting scenarios. But it just makes the process so much better. Like this is one of my best friends that I have a partnership with, and it's completely business. Like when we talk, it's business. Like we have everything set up, it's ready to roll. And I think that, I mean, it's kind of like a relationship. When you set the standard of what you both want in a relationship early on, the relationship will thrive at such a higher rate. But no, I'm excited. I think we've got some really great people, not just within the Next Home family, but just nationwide that, are going to be incredible to bring on. Obviously we had a former podcast where we had Zach on. I loved having Zach on the podcast. I think he's got some incredible information. I love Alex Crum down in Sarasota.
Oh, yeah.
That's Alex. Alex is one of my absolute best friends in Next Home. Love him. So, I mean, we've got people nationwide right now that we cannot wait to bring you guys. Carolan, I'm just so excited for this. Thank you for agreeing. I kind of threw this on Carolan, and I was like, hey, listen, I want to do a podcast series. Like, what will it take to get you to agree to this? And so I appreciate you jumping on this crazy ride and being willing to do it. I think our whole goal, guys, like we said, we just want to be real. We want to be unfiltered. We want to take you guys through our journeys. We want to take you through our clients' journeys. We want to bring you through other people's journeys across the U.S. to actually give you a live look at like what the investment world really is right now and how you can thrive and how you don't have to be a billionaire to make it work.
Right, right. Which is such a good point. A lot of people, I think, are under the impression that I put a ton of money down on this place. I actually only put 5%. So that is a very, very key thing that I want people to understand, that it is so achievable, and it's achievable. It's not as hard as everyone thinks it is.
Right. And your first investment, I can't stress this enough. Your first investment does not have to be the sexiest beach house on the market. All right. Your first investment is a dilapidated property that no one wants to touch, and you can gain so much equity out of that process if you do it right. So
Yep.
you don't have to go for the Instagram model of like what looks the best, like what has the best return, like what is going to be the best, safest first investment you can make. And I think that can take you a long way. I'm really a big believer in you buy the first one right, the rest of the portfolio falls in line.
Yeah, I love that you said that too, because I always tell people I would never buy this for me to permanently live in, but for a rental, it's perfect.
That's awesome. No, it's great. I mean, I think my wife still has like nightmares about because the first ones we bought, she never even saw. Like I just came home and I was like, "Hey, we bought this," and she's like,
And
"Why
you're
would
still
you do
married?
that?" I'm still married. Yeah.
Oh
Um,
my.
yeah. So that was great. Luckily, we had a baby this year. So she's like, I can't leave. No, just kidding. But um, it's definitely been a struggle. But this year I kind of told her, I said, listen, I want you to come on like full time with the properties. Like, help me run them. Like, be a part of it. I don't want you to just like me tell you about what's going on. Like be a part of what's happening, and let's make it fun. Like, let's make it part of our life. And then hopefully by the time
That's
we're
so cute.
we can retire, we can just kind of hand it off to our kids and everything like that. But no, I'm excited. I can't wait. I think we're gonna have a lot of great content for everyone. Our goal, guys. I mean, I don't know how long this goes. We don't have a set schedule. As long as we can keep providing you guys great content, I think we're willing to put it out there and reach out to us with any questions. Caroline, what's a good place for people if they've got anything for you? Like, where do you want them to go to be able to hit you up?
Yeah, you guys can go to my Instagram. It's at your.realtor.carolan.
Awesome, awesome. And
And how
we
about
are
you?
all so I'm not gonna lie. So shout out to Rachel Cousins. Absolutely love Rachel Cousins. Rachel runs my life when it comes to real estate. She is one of my partners with our team. She is amazing. I'm just looking up our our tagline now. I think it's the Bush Group Next Home, but we're
Oh my
gonna
gosh,
we're gonna
that's hysterical.
yeah. So if you yeah, it is. So we are the Bush Group Next Home for everything. So if you guys want to look us up, Instagram, Facebook, listen, the best thing you can ever do in life, like I said, we're going to be raw and unfiltered with this. Bring people on board with you that can make your boat rise. Like Rachel Cousins, you make my boat rise. Like You bring the waters up. Like, I could not do our social media without her. She absolutely is instrumental in my life. So we'll just put that out there for the world to know. But so
I
the
love
Bush Group
that.
Next Home, you can find us. And so we're going to be doing this. I think we're going to go every Friday, every other Friday. And
Mhm.
so if we're going to have any change throughout the week, we'll let you guys know. We are going to have this up on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and any other place you can think of, Caroline, that I'm not thinking of.
I think you covered them all.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us in this journey. We cannot wait to take you guys along the way. Hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about us today. And we promise as we go forward, it's going to be some pretty engaging content and maybe even funny at times. But hopefully, you guys enjoy it. And we talk to you guys soon.
All
Awesome.
right.
See you guys.
See ya.